Dear learners, welcome to the new video lecture of the Engineering Chemistry e-lecture series. To continue the water softening process, in today's video, we will discuss the reverse osmosis process for water purification. So the topics covered in today's video lecture are basic principle of reverse osmosis, process or methodology of the reverse osmosis used for water purification, and the advantages and disadvantages of the reverse osmosis process. So let us begin with the basic principle of reverse osmosis. So what first question comes to our mind, that what is the reverse osmosis? Basically, the reverse osmosis, commonly known as the RO, it is the process where demineralization or deionization of water is carried out by pushing it under pressure through the semi-permeable reverse osmosis membrane. Here three things are important in this definition. First, the demineralization or the deionization. Second, under pressure. And third, semi-permeable reverse osmosis membrane. So first, the demineralization or deionization means the removal of all the ions or minerals from the water. Second, it is carried out under the pressure. Third, it is carried out with the use of the semi-permeable reverse osmosis membrane. So now question comes to our mind, that what is this semi-permeable reverse osmosis membrane? Basically, these reverse osmosis membrane, which are also known as the RO membrane. This RO membrane is a semi-permeable membrane designed to allow the passage of water molecules while blocking other dissolved salts, contaminants and impurities. That means the word semi-permeable means it allows only few selective ions to pass through it. And what these selective ions or molecule are? These are the water molecule. So the semi-permeable membrane used for water filtration is known as the RO membrane, which allows the water molecule to pass through it, and other remaining dissolved salts, contaminants and impurities does not pass through this RO membrane. So these are used for the water purification process. Generally, typically these RO membranes are made from polyamides, polysulfone and other polymeric materials, and they have a thin semi-permeable layers with a pore size of approximately 10 to the power minus 4 micron. So this tiny very small pore size allows only the water molecules to pass through these RO membranes, and remaining the other salts cannot pass or cannot cross these RO membranes. So this basic concept is used for the water purification process. So before knowing more about this process, we must know what is the osmosis and what is the reverse osmosis. So let us discuss osmosis. What is osmosis? So when water naturally moves from a region of low solute concentration to high solute concentration, it is known as the osmosis. So look at here, we marked here the two areas, area number 1 and the area number 2, and these two areas, in the area number 2, highly salty water is present, and in the area number 1, fresh water is present, and both of these areas are separated by the semi-permeable membrane. So in general, the spontaneous process or the normal process is what? That water tends to make equilibrium between these two areas. That means water now flows from area number 1 to area number 2. Why? Because the tendency to get it in the equilibrium. That means both the in both of the side, the concentration of the solution becomes the equal. So how it becomes equal? It can be equal when water molecule cross the semi-permeable membrane and go from area number 1 to area number 2, because the semi-permeable membrane allow only the passage of the water molecule. It does not allow the salt molecule to cross area 2 to area 1. That is why only the water molecule can cross this semi-permeable membrane. So water flows in general from area 1 to area 2. This is the normal osmosis process. That means water from dilute area moves towards the concentrated area where the salt concentration is higher. This is the normal process. Just the reverse of this normal process is known as the reverse osmosis. But this reverse osmosis cannot be done normally or spontaneously, because the normal process is the osmosis. That means water from higher concentration, that means higher concentration of water means lower concentration of the salt. So when water from diluted to higher concentrated water side moves, this is the normal process. When we talk about the reverse osmosis is when pressure is applied on the higher concentration side and the water moves in the reverse direction, leaving behind the dissolved ion and impurities. So when we applied the pressure on the area number 2, in this area where the concentration of salt is higher, so due to this higher pressure, now the water molecules moves from area number 2 to area number 1. The concentration of water molecule, only the water molecule becomes higher in the area number 1, and all the remaining salt and other impurities are remains or left behind at the area number 2. So in this way we can remove the salts from the water, because when we apply the pressure on this area where concentrated water is present, so only the water molecule can cross this semi-permeable membrane. So the water molecules now separated from the concentrated side, and these moves towards the area number 1. So all the pure water molecule are collected now in the second side of the semi-permeable membrane. So this is the basic concept of the reverse osmosis process used for the water purification or water filtration process. Now, how this process carried out? So before moving towards the process, how the process is done, we must know what are the key components of the RO water purifier. So the main key components of the RO water purifier are 5. First, sedimentation filter. Second, carbon filter. Third, RO membrane filter. Fourth, post carbon filter, and the storage tank. Let us discuss one by one. First is the sedimentation filter, which is also known as the pre-filter. Right? So the sedimentation filter works like a sieve to separate different particles, large particles, a few dissolved solids from the water. Since the membrane can get clogged by these particles, therefore the sedimentation filter came before the RO membrane filter. So the sedimentation filter is the first part of this RO water purifier. Now the second unit is the carbon filter or the carbon pre-filter. This carbon cartridge or carbon free filter removes odor, taste and contaminants and chlorine from the water. It is also helpful for sometimes it is also helpful to remove the insoluble lead impurities. Now after the pre-filters from sedimentation filter and carbon filter, the third main component is the RO membrane filter. This one is the RO membrane filter. This is the RO membrane filter. This thin membrane filter removes up to 95% of the total dissolved solids from the incoming water. These semi-permeable membranes are used to remove the impurities of dissolved salts from the water, including various types of dissolved salts like calcium, sodium, magnesium, etc. Now, After that, the storage tank is there where all the filtered water is stored. And after this is storage tank, or we can say before the faucet, there is another unit which is known as the carbon post filter, which is, this is the setup after the storage tank and just before the faucet. This is right. If any impurities is still remaining in the water, that will remove in this post filter stage. So this is used to remove all the remaining impurities from the water. So, and in the storage tank all the filter water is stored. So these are the main components of the RO water purifier. Now, how the process is carried out in this purifier? First of all, the raw water is supplied from the normal tap to the RO filter, in which the water passes from the sedimentation filter and the carbon pre-filter. In both these filters, all the larger impurities, turbidity and other type of impurities like bad taste and odor is removed in both of these filters. Now through these, after passing through these filters, the water is now passed to the RO membrane filter. Now all these process is carried out due to the electricity pressure applied by applying the electricity. So the pressure forces the regular tap water through a RO membrane. Now the tiny pores of RO membrane allows only the water molecules to pass through it, and other remaining salts such as sodium, calcium, magnesium and other impurities removed through the drain tap here, and filtered water and impurities removed through here, and the filtered water is now collected into the storage tank. Here the filtered water is collected, from where it can be used through the faucet. Before faucet, a post filter is also placed here, and this post carbon filter removes all the remaining impurities in the water before using through the faucet. So this is the simplest process of the RO water purifier. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of RO process? The advantages are, first, it is highly effective. It removes up to 99% of the dissolved salts and hardness causing salts from the water. Second, it also removes the microorganisms, heavy metals, organic pollutants and other contaminants from the water. Third main advantage is, unlike ion exchange method and zeolite method, it does not use any salt or regenerator on the regular basis. Fourth advantage, it improves the taste. Why? Because it significantly reduces the total dissolved solids concentration from the water. That is why it improves the taste of the water. Now, it also has some disadvantages. First, the cost is high. The installation and maintenance costs are higher than the traditional softeners. Second, wastage of water. The rejected water, that means salty water, which is rejected through the drain, it is 20 to 50%. So large quantity of water is wasted through the drain in this method. It requires to maintain the reverse osmosis process continuously. High pressure is applied on the reverse osmosis chamber, so it needs electricity to operate the pressure pumps. Next disadvantage is membrane fouling. The membrane can get clogged by the particulates, scaling or biological growth, so it needs regular cleaning and the replacement. Next, last impurity is, it removes beneficial minerals also, because this semi-permeable membrane is selective for the water only. So all the other minerals are removed from the water through the RO process. So these are some disadvantages and the advantages of this process. Now it's time for the learning check. Read the question displaying on your screen and think for its correct answer. What is the primary purpose of high pressure pump in an RO purifier? A. To add minerals to the purified water. B. To increase the temperature of the feed water. C. To force water through the semi-permeable membrane. And D. To kill the bacteria using high pressure. Yes, you are right. Option C is the correct answer. That is, the high pressure pump is required to force the water through the semi-permeable membrane, because we are carrying out the reverse osmosis process, for which external pressure is needed to be applied so that the water molecules can move in reverse direction. So that's all for the today's video. Thank you so much. To unlock more awesome content, you can hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Thank you.